You check your words before you send them. You soften the edge. You reread the message, not for clarity, but for acceptance. Your chest tightens as you wait, not for truth, for permission. Notice how quiet you become when approval is delayed. Notice how your posture shifts when a reaction doesn't arrive. You tell yourself you don't care, but your nervous system already answered for you. You feel it when you explain more than necessary, when you justify a decision no one questioned, when you laugh a second too long to make sure it lands. That small internal flinch is not humility. It is exposure. You weren't always like this. Somewhere along the way, you learned that being liked felt safer than being solid. So you began outsourcing your worth. You placed it in reactions, in nods, in validation that could be withdrawn at any moment. Now pay attention to the shift. The moment you seek approval, the balance tilts. Not dramatically, quietly. You feel it as tension. Others feel it as leverage. You don't announce insecurity with words. You announce it with timing, with tone, with the invisible request embedded in your behavior. Tell me I'm okay. And once that signal is broadcast, it is received. Not consciously, instinctively. Systems read weakness faster than language. So do people. You didn't lose control in a single moment. You leaked it in small negotiations with yourself. Each time you asked for confirmation instead of assuming authority. Each time you waited to be chosen instead of standing chosen. Nothing is wrong yet, but something has already been noticed. You were taught that seeking validation makes you good, polite, considerate, emotionally intelligent. You were promised connection in exchange for self-doubt. You were told that checking yourself publicly would earn trust, that asking for reassurance showed humility, that deferring your worth would make others feel safe. So you did it. You adjusted. You asked. You waited. You made sure no one felt threatened by your certainty, and reality punished you for it. The more you looked outward, the less you were taken seriously. The more you checked in, the more others checked you. The more you tried to be approved of, the more approval became conditional. You thought validation was currency. It was debt, because systems do not reward intention. They respond to positioning. Nature does not ask if you meant well. It measures signal strength. When you negotiate your worth, observers do not think you are thoughtful. They think you are unsure, and uncertainty invites testing. Boundaries get pushed not because people are cruel, but because uncertainty creates opportunity. Psychology works this way across hierarchies, markets, and ecosystems. Where value is unclear, pressure is applied. Where authority hesitates, control shifts. You believed that being open would protect you. Instead, it made you legible, predictable, easy to lean on, lean into, and lean past. The world did not betray you. It behaved exactly as designed. Validation seeking did not make you respected. It marked you as someone waiting to be assigned value. And once worth is assigned externally, it is always revisable. Reality does not reward virtue signaling. It aligns with certainty. There is a reason ancient strategists warned against dependence, even emotional dependence, not because they were cruel, because they were precise. The Stoics spoke of sovereignty of judgment, that nothing external could grant or remove worth unless you consented to it. This was not comfort philosophy. It was survival psychology. Nietzsche later observed something darker, that those who seek approval advertise their need, and need alters how others behave around you, not morally, mechanically. Modern behavioral science confirms it. In ethology, animals that signal uncertainty are tested, not out of malice, out of information gathering. Predators do not hunt confidence. They probe hesitation. This knowledge is not popular because it is not flattering. It contradicts the myth that kindness alone creates safety. It exposes that systems respond to self-command, not self-expression. Authority does not emerge from being understood. It emerges from being grounded, and grounding is silent. The forbidden truth is this: when you seek validation, you are not asking to be liked. You are asking to be stabilized from the outside. And anything that stabilizes you externally can destabilize you later. Strategists understood this. So did monks. So did generals. So do high-functioning leaders who never explain themselves unless necessary. They do not outsource emotional equilibrium. They do not look to reactions to confirm reality. They move first internally, and the environment adjusts. Power is not harshness. It is internal order made visible. The reason this truth is rarely taught is because it removes excuses. It forces responsibility back onto the individual. And responsibility is heavier than reassurance. But it is also cleaner. And it works whether you believe in it or not. You are tired in a way rest doesn't fix. Tired of calibrating yourself to reactions. Tired of feeling solid alone and diluted around others. Tired of sensing that something is wrong, but not being able to name it without sounding defensive. You feel the contradiction. You know you are capable. You know you are not weak. Yet the moment approval is absent, your internal signal flickers, as if authority shuts off when no one is watching. That confusion creates quiet resentment. You wonder why respect feels inconsistent, why people listen sometimes and overlook you at others, why your presence feels negotiable. No one told you the cost of external alignment. No one told you that borrowing certainty would eventually hollow your own. So you kept refining yourself for acceptance, thinking maturity lived there. What follows is not motivation, not confidence tricks, not social performance. What follows is subtraction, removal of false dependencies, dismantling of habits that quietly placed your center of gravity outside your body. Once you see how validation-seeking rearranged your internal hierarchy, you won't be able to unsee it. You will notice the impulse before it becomes behavior. You will feel the reach for reassurance as a loss of posture. And from that point forward, pretending not to know will cost more than change ever did. What comes next will replace noise with structure, reaction with position, and permission with authority. There are 5 principles, not techniques. 5 shifts in perception that change how pressure moves through you. These are not designed to make you impressive. They are designed to make you unmoved. And unmoved is what systems respond to. Each principle removes a negotiation you didn't realize you were having. With reactions, with silence. With approval you never needed but learned to wait for. They are not motivational because motivation still depends on outcome. These are structural. Once installed, they operate whether anyone notices or not. The first teaches you how value collapses when it is requested instead of assumed. The second shows how dependence sharpens attention against you. The third restores authority by relocating it internally, where it cannot be revised. The fourth explains why respect erodes when worth is discussed instead of embodied. The fifth seals the system by making you emotionally self-sufficient under observation. None of these require confrontation. None require dominance displays. They work precisely because they are quiet. Each one alters how others test, press, or defer without you doing anything differently on the surface. The change happens underneath, in the absence of urgency. These principles are cumulative. Miss one and the structure leaks. Integrate all 5 and validation becomes irrelevant rather than resisted. This is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming complete. From here on, you are no longer collecting reactions to feel real. You are establishing a fixed internal reference point. And when that reference is stable, the environment recalibrates around you automatically. Value behaves like price in a market. The moment you ask for it, it drops. This is not opinion. It is structural. When worth is assumed, it sets a baseline. When worth is requested, it becomes negotiable. And anything negotiable can be discounted. You learn to present reasons for being taken seriously. You offered context. You explained intent. You waited for acknowledgement. You thought clarity created respect. What it actually created was a transaction. Old behavior felt responsible. You checked in. You asked if things were okay. You looked for signs you were on solid ground. But every check was a signal that the ground was not yours. New behavior is quieter. You stop auditing reactions. You move as if value is already established, because internally it is. In economics, goods that advertise themselves aggressively are assumed to be low quality. In physics, systems that require constant correction are unstable. In nature, creatures that display need are tested. When you embody assumed value, others adjust without discussion. They hesitate before pushing. They pause before questioning. Not because you intimidated them. This discipline is not arrogance. Arrogance demands agreement. This requires none. The power comes from refusing to price yourself publicly, from removing worth from conversation entirely, from acting as if value is a given, because for you, it is no longer conditional. Dependence sharpens attention, not in your favor. In biology, predators do not pursue strength. They probe imbalance. Emotional dependence functions the same way. Not to conscious thought. You adjusted when silence appeared. New behavior removes the dependency entirely. You let reactions come or not without internal shift. In systems theory, any node that cannot self-regulate becomes a leverage point. Pressure is applied there because it yields information. Information becomes control. When you self-regulate emotionally, testing stops quickly. Boundaries are rarely challenged when there is no emotional payoff. This is not detachment. You are complete before interaction begins. Internal authority cannot be replaced once installed. A nod. You checked reactions to confirm alignment. Your decisions waited for feedback before settling. New behavior relocates the center permanently inward. You decide first. You settle internally before interaction. Your posture does not shift based on agreement or resistance. In physics, a system with a fixed center resists disturbance. In psychology, self-validation closes the loop that others once controlled. They may not articulate it, but they respond to it. Questions become fewer. Respect stabilizes. It is independence of judgment. You still listen. Once your internal authority replaces external permission, worth stops being discussed. It is simply present. Respect does not disappear suddenly. Every time worth is explained, it is reduced to language. Every time value is defended, it becomes disputable. Old behavior tried to secure respect through articulation. You clarified intentions. You justified decisions. You framed yourself carefully to be understood correctly. When worth enters dialogue, it becomes a topic. Topics invite opinion. Opinion invites hierarchy. New behavior removes worth from speech entirely. In warfare, commanders do not explain their authority. When you stop negotiating value, respect reorganizes quietly. Not the stories you tell, but the stillness you maintain. This is discipline. Resisting the itch to be seen accurately. No appeal. It is closure. Recognition to relax. Any delay felt like rejection. New behavior seals the system before contact. Your emotional state is resolved internally, not pending externally. Nothing is required from the environment for you to remain steady. They don't oscillate wildly with minor input. You still feel, not as coldness. Praise loses control when it isn't needed. This is where power is preserved. Nothing here is performative. When emotional self-sufficiency is embodied, validation becomes optional. And what cannot control you eventually stops trying. None of what you've heard was about managing others, not controlling outcomes. These principles were never tools aimed at the environment. The real shift is internal order. You are removing noise from your own system. Power, in its cleanest form, is reduced reactivity. The fewer impulses that reach your decision-making core, the clearer your actions become. You are not controlling how others respond. This is why the effect feels effortless once installed. You are subtracting weakness. Philosophers understood this as self-mastery. Strategists call it command presence. When your internal state is ordered, the environment becomes secondary. Praise does not elevate you. That neutrality is not emptiness. The reality is that power is responding the same regardless of what the world does. Once reaction is removed, influence appears without effort, because nothing in you is available to be pulled. That is the control.